Whispers beneath the petals. Lily had always felt most alive when she was barefoot among the wildflowers, deep in the woods, where the world softened and the wind carried secrets. Her long satin dress shimmered like moonlight through the trees, and her pale skin glowed in the dappled sunlight. She wasn't like other children. Where others saw trees and petals, she saw companions, colorful, rooted beings with stories to tell. Because the flowers could speak. They spoke in hushed voices only she could hear, their words woven into the rustle of leaves and the rhythm of swaying stems. From the first moment she heard them, when she was just 7, clutching a daisy that giggled in her palm, Lily knew she had found something magical. They whispered her name. They told her tales of the old world, of forgotten forest queens and creatures that lived in the bark and soil. She had promised them, hand pressed to her heart under the silver gaze of the moon, that their secret would never be shared, and the flowers had trusted her. For years the woods were her escape, her home, her world, until Violet arrived. Violet was the new girl at school, clever, confident, full of laughter and curiosity. She noticed Lily right away, and for reasons Lily couldn't quite explain, she allowed herself to be drawn in. They became fast friends, their bond blooming with late-night phone calls, shared lunches, and whispered dreams. Slowly, Lily's visits to the woods became less frequent. The flowers, once vibrant and lively at her approach, grew still. The meadows no longer bent toward her. The air felt heavier, the silences between the trees deeper. The blossoms drooped when she passed. They missed her. One cloudy afternoon, as Violet and Lily sat together under a tree behind the school, Violet said, "You're always in your own world. What are you always thinking about?" Lily hesitated. She should have kept it buried. She should have remembered the vow. But the warmth of friendship, the comfort, the closeness, it made her reckless. "I've never told anyone this," she whispered. "But the flowers in the woods, they talk to me." Violet laughed at first. "Like, talk? I swear," Lily said. "Since I was little, they whisper. They tell me things. I promised I'd never tell, but I trust you." Violet didn't laugh again, but she didn't believe her either. "That's wild," she said. "But kind of cool, I guess." Lily tried to smile, but something inside her twisted. Something ancient and gentle had gone quiet. That evening, she returned to the woods alone. The flowers did not greet her. She stepped into the meadow, her feet brushing petals that shrank away from her skin. Even the lilies, her namesakes, her oldest friends, remained shut tight, as if asleep. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said, her voice breaking. "She won't tell anyone. I just wanted to share it. I thought, she's my friend. I thought I could trust her." A wind rose, cold and sharp. It hissed through the leaves like a warning. "You promised us," murmured a withering iris. "We let you in," whispered the violets. "But now you've let us out," came the voice of the rose, its petals curled like fists. Lily dropped to her knees. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "Please, don't leave me." But the forest fell silent, and it stayed silent. Days turned into weeks. The woods, once her sanctuary, her secret family, grew cold and quiet. She returned each day hoping for forgiveness, but the flowers had closed their hearts. The vines recoiled at her touch. The petals turned their faces from the sun when she passed. And then came the worst betrayal of all. Violet told them. It started with a whisper in the hallway, a sharp giggle at the edge of Lily's hearing. By lunchtime, it had spread like wildfire. Lily talks to flowers. Lily thinks they talk back. Lily's gone crazy. She's a little forest freak, someone muttered behind her. Did you hear? She thinks the daisies are her best friends. By afternoon, the laughter was thunderous, echoing through the school halls like a cruel chorus. The worst part was Violet, laughing with them. The girl who had once held her secrets now wore them like weapons. She told me herself, Violet said, loud enough for everyone to hear. She actually believes the flowers whisper secrets. Isn't that pathetic? Lily's heart shattered. They surrounded her on the field after school, not with fists, but with sneers and stones. Pebbles rained down like tiny judgments, sharp, stinging. Whisper to these, flower girl. She probably names the weeds. Lily turned and ran, barefoot across the gravel, her satin dress snagging on thorns. Her hair whipped her face as she fled toward the trees, toward the place that once held her. Her knees gave out just beyond the tree line, where the path dipped into shadow. She collapsed at the edge of the meadow that had once bloomed with laughter. Head bowed, tears carving rivers down her cheeks, Lily whispered, I understand now. She dug her fingers into the dirt. You trusted me, and I broke it. And Violet, she broke mine. The wind stirred slightly, nothing more than a breath. But in that moment, it was everything. I'm sorry, she whispered. You were right to go silent. The silence around her changed. It wasn't welcoming. It wasn't angry. It was watching. Somewhere in the trees, a dry leaf crumbled. A petal dropped like a tear. The forest listened, not with forgiveness, but with recognition. Now she knew what betrayal felt like. Now she knew the weight of a broken promise. And though the flowers still did not speak, they allowed her to sit among them once more, not as a friend, not yet, but as someone who had finally understood. Lily came every day. She no longer tried to speak. She simply sat, barefoot and quiet, letting the stillness settle into her bones. She brought offerings, wild honey, old poems, tears. She tended to their roots with bare hands, even when thorns bit her skin. The forest watched. Even though the flowers still did not speak to her, Lily never gave up. She came every day without fail, through rain, through sun, determined, quiet, hopeful. But something else grew in Lily's heart, hatred. It started as a seed, a small, bitter ache, but it grew with each passing day. She blamed Violet for everything, for breaking the secret, for mocking her, for deceiving her into believing they were friends. Because of you, she thought, my true friends stopped talking to me, and the more that hatred grew, the weaker the forest became. One by one the flowers withered, petals turned brittle, leaves shriveled to husks. The color drained from the glade like sorrow from a forgotten dream. And still Lily could not let go. Then, one evening, after gently watering the brittle roots and removing a stubborn thorn from the base of a dying lilac, she stood up to leave. Her hands were scratched, her dress stained with dirt. She turned to leave. A soft voice whispered through the trees, and she froze. You do not want to forgive, but you want to be forgiven. Her eyes widened, her mouth opened. The water jug slipped from her fingers and shattered on the ground below. It had been 2 years since she last heard the forest speak. Tears welled in her eyes. Her heart raced. A warm touch landed gently on her shoulder. Spinning around, her breath caught. Was it the camellia, the rose, the violet? Number. It was Violet, the girl, not cloaked in mystery this time, not cruel or cold, just real, human, and weeping. I'm sorry, Violet whispered, her voice cracking. I see now. I saw how beautiful you were, how gentle, and I ruined it. I made you bitter. I made you alone. Lily's throat tightened. Her fists trembled, but Violet fell to her knees. You loved them, and I broke that. I see it now. Please, forgive me. Lily stared at her for a long time. Then she whispered, I forgive you. Both girls hugged and turned to the silent glade. We're sorry, they said together, tears watering the earth. That night the woods were still, but not dead. The next morning Lily returned, barefoot, carrying her watering jug out of habit. She expected silence, as always, but something had changed. She heard it first. Laughter, light, airy, joyful, like bells on the wind. Then she heard the familiar voices, gentle, floral, strange. As she stepped into the clearing, her heart caught in her throat. The glade was alive again. Flowers of every color bloomed in wild, joyous abundance. The air shimmered with the scent of jasmine and clover. Morning glories whispered greetings. Tulips waved their heads. Daisies spun in tiny spirals of delight. She dropped to her knees, overwhelmed. Joy surged in her chest like sunlight. The forest had forgiven her. It had returned. She had returned. Violet arrived moments later, barefoot as well, her eyes wide in awe. The two girls embraced. But then, a strange hush fell. The camellia, the first flower that had ever bloomed for Lily, spoke in a voice like wind through ancient trees. One of you speaks truth, the other is a shadow. Lily and Violet stepped back, startled. What does that mean? Lily asked. The flowers didn't answer. Instead, a vine rose from the ground and pointed at Violet. The air grew heavy. Lily turned to her friend, confused and afraid. Violet stepped back. Her skin shimmered strangely. In the water surface, her reflection flickered like a broken image. Then her voice changed, low and hollow. I told you before, they made me a secret. She smiled, but the smile wasn't hers. I never stopped being one. Lily gasped. Violet's body began to fade, petal by petal, until she vanished in a swirl of ash and light. She had never truly been Violet. She was a piece of the forest's sorrow, the spirit of betrayal. Then the forest pulsed, like it had taken a deep breath. The flowers turned